everybody, I'm Jess and this video is going to be my YALC haul video. YALC is the Young Adult Literature Convention. It's possibly the biggest young adult convention that we have here in the UK. It took place last weekend in London, Kensington Olympia, as usual, top floor on top of London Film and Comic Con, which was also fantastic. So this specific video is just going to be for the books that I received. I either bought them or won them in raffles. I'll go through that as I pick each up, and I'm going to do some separate videos that do a kind of review of how YALC was run this year, a how-to for next year for anybody new that goes, and then also a video for the signatures of the books that I already had. So let's go. So the first book that I picked up at YALC this year, and you better bet I ran for the stall when I got in there, was Dark Age by Pierce Brown. Now this is the fifth book in the Red Rising saga. It follows Iron Gold, which is the first book of the second series, and it is a chunk of a book. I mean, it's about 750 pages long. This was an early release at YALC, so it got released early at San Diego Comic Con over in the US and early at YALC by the Hodescape store, which was fantastic of them. This only cost £10, which is actually a fair bit shy of the usual price of $16.99. And so I was actually the first person to pick up this book off of their stall and buy it. So they like to tell me that I was the first person in Europe to own the book, but I'm sure somebody else probably had their hands on it at that point. Very happy to have it. Haven't started reading it yet because I do want to reread Iron Gold first, but I am a big fan of this series. The second book that I picked up was also off of the Hodescape school, and that was The Soul of Power by Callie Bates, and this was £8 for a trade paperback. It's a slightly large paperback, and the reason that I bought this was not particularly because I have read any of her books and know that I want them. The incentive on the Hodescape store was if you bought 2 books, then you would receive a free gift of one of their arcs that they had on the table. They had 3 options, but by the time that I got up there, 2 of the arcs had completely sold out. I wasn't even aware they were doing it, so I wasn't fussed by what arc I got. So I bought this as sort of my second purchase because the other books that they had were Laini Taylor, Stephanie Garber, some Stephen King ones, and I own all of those books already, so this was just one of the few things on the stall that I didn't already own. So the arc I received for purchasing those 2 books from the Hodescape school was The Return by Rachel Harrison. It's not a book that I've heard of, and then again it comes out in April next year, so there's probably a good reason I haven't heard of it yet. It's a long way in advance. This is a very pink arc, but it looks kind of thriller mystery style. How much would you give up for your best friend? So I'm quite excited to read this despite the gaudy pinkness. Now the next book that I picked up was The Sword and the Dagger by Robert Cochrane, however you pronounce that. This was a kind of range of hardbacks that looked pretty good. I was trying to pick up sort of the first in a series or whether I could see this cover, this kind of format of title speaks to me. You know, kingdoms and warriors and all that stuff is just very much something that I connect with and get on well with. I love my fantasy stuff. So I picked up this book because there was another stall that was also offering an incentive of buy one of our books, receive an arc. The arc that I picked up as part of the incentive for that was Ink in the Blood by Kim Smakow. I will never be able to pronounce that. I'll have to wait for somebody else to review it and pronounce the last name properly. I love tattoos, so the cover and sort of the meaning behind it just spoke to me, and this was the one that I picked up. This is due for release in February 2020, so I'm gonna be quite interested to read this and see what's really going on in here. So as I was going around the YALC stands, you kind of suss out who's got raffles and who's got what going on, and the #reads stall had a little bingo wheel, and you had to pull out an even number to win a copy of this arc, which is Jackpot by Nick Stone, due for release in December this year, and quite a lot of people were having a go to try and get this. So I thought it must be something that people are sort of seeking, so I'll have a go and managed to win. Another arc that I managed to win on Friday was Are You Watching by Vincent Ralph, and this was from the Penguin stall. They were doing a raffle, so you got a ticket at the beginning of the day and they drew the numbers at 12 and 4 o'clock, and you just came and looked at the board and see if you got it, and they handed this beauty over to me. So this is a book I won when I entered the raffle at the I call them Stripes, Macmillan stall. I thought it was for an ARC, but it wasn't, and it was actually the only raffle I'm aware that they did the weekend, but it was for Wilder Girls by Rory Power, and I've seen some quite good reviews of this. It's been kind of plugged in on my Twitter, comes up every now and again, so I am excited to read it. It's probably not the typical kind of genre I'd read, but it was a free raffle, entered it. We'll give it a read at some point, most definitely, review it, and then probably pass it on at some point once I'm done. So the first book that I received on Saturday was Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. You better bet I ran for this one. This was off the hashtag read stall again, and they were doing 100 ARCs for the first people that got to the stall. So you better bet when the doors opened I ran up the stairs rather than waiting for the lift, and queued up and was one of the first 100 people that got it on the Saturday. Friday I was far too late to get anywhere near that stall. And I'm quite excited to read this one. This is a January 2020 release. I did start the first couple of chapters whilst I was at YALC, and I was like, this is definitely something that is up my alley. The second book I got on Saturday was Dogs by M.A. Bennett. This is the sequel to Stags, which I very much enjoyed. It's very much a simple read. You can see quite a bit of what was going on in Stags, but the very end was not something I expected. I did also get this signed by M.A. Bennett. She was a guest. She was on sort of the panel this year at YALC, rather than just going to the stall at Hotkey Books, which was really good. This was an ever so slightly early release, and when the author is there, you have to buy it directly from Waterstones at full price. But that cost me nothing because I had a voucher to get me through the weekend. Very excited to get on with this. I think I might need to do a reread of Stags before I go for it though. From an independent publisher, I also picked up The Harm Tree by Rose Edwards. I looked at this cover for a day and a half and I could not get it. So this was £5 from their stall, and the author was also attending sort of at 3 o'clock. So I went up and just grabbed it and signed it in red. You had the option of red, orange or black, which I thought was fantastic. Of course I'm going to go with red, it's my favourite colour. But I have to say it was the cover that drew me in on this one. The next book I picked up was The Everlasting Rose by Donielle Clayton. Again, this was a full price purchase from the Waterstone stall and signed by Donielle at the signing tables. I have not yet read The Bells, but, you know, heard good things about it, so I just got it, and she was there, so I could get it signed, so I was quite happy to purchase that without having read the first book. Next book I purchased straight off the Illumicrate stall, and believe me, I tried to go to the Illumicrate stall on the Friday, but you could not get there for the queue that they had. They had such success. And that's Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This is something that I saw come out in one of their boxes that I didn't subscribe to. It's got beautiful sprayed edges to match their cover, and it is signed by both authors, and so I went, why the hell not? I will most definitely pick this up for only £10. Yes, thank you very much. The next ARC that I managed to win was Into the Crooked Place, Alexandra Christo, who is the author of To Kill a Kingdom, which was a very well received book, and the people on the Hotkey Books store were hiding these little tiny plastic bats, and you better believe that people were watching them when they knew that was going to happen. That was sort of at 3 o'clock on the day. You had to just find a bat. I think I managed to find the last bat of the day on Saturday and handed it in and got my hands on this ARC, which is very purple, so I'm very in love with it. Next book that I managed to win is A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World by C.A. Fletcher, and it is an ARC, but I believe this book has already been published. This was part of a raffle that I won, and I didn't really know very much about it, just entered all of the raffles that I possibly could. And yeah, I really quite like the rustic look of this ARC. It is pretty gorgeous, but as I've said, I do believe it's already been published. Now I move on to Sunday, and the first book that I picked up would not generally seem to be my genre because it looks quite girly. I haven't read any of the books yet, but I do have the first 2 signed from Waterstones, no personalisation or anything, so I quite happily went over and picked one up at the beginning of the day. Connie Glynn signed on Saturday very late, and so Sunday morning I just went in there and picked up some of the signed stock that they had left over, and this is The Lost Princess, book 3 of the Rosebud Chronicles. I don't know if there are more planned or what's going on, but as I said, I had the first 2 signed already, so I would have ended up pre-ordering it or picking it up anyway. So I got it full price at the Waterstone store. When I picked up The Lost Princess from the Waterstone store, I also grabbed Nexus by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. This was full price, and then I got it signed by Sasha later on in the day. The next book that I purchased on Sunday was from the Penguin store, and they were doing an incentive of buy one of their books, get one of the ARCs. So over the past 2 days, I'm guessing people hadn't claimed with their raffle tickets, and therefore they had lots of ARCs of the prior 2 days left over. And their paperbacks were also only £3. So I bought 13 Reasons Why for £3, and this is a book I've been wanting to read since the Netflix series came out. And for £3, it's usually 8. I couldn't not get it to get one of the proofs. So since I'd already won the proof that they handed out on Friday, I decided to get the proof they handed out on Saturday, which was American Royals by Catherine McGee. And the group that I was sitting with throughout the week were talking about this. Like, one or two of them really wanted to get their hands on this book, so I let them know that it was over there, and they were like, yeah, grab it. And just look at the sprayed edges. Like, it's beautiful. It's kind of all in British colours, actually, now that I think about it. But it's got the stars going across as well, which I suppose is quite American. Very, very nice arc. Quite excited to read it. This is actually the first one that I'm going to set up to read because it gets released quite quickly, September this year. Now this one is one that I'm quite excited to have won, and that's Reverie by Ryan Salah. January 2020 release, and I won this on the Fairy Loot stall, and Fairy Loot are so difficult to win things on because they hide stuff a lot, which is what happened with this one. They hid a butterfly and it was really difficult to find. But the other thing is that they do it on Twitter announcements, so people literally follow them hiding stuff and will grab it, which is very difficult. It's very difficult for people to join into it because usually the items are found within a minute or two, and then they did like lucky dips and stuff like that as well. But this was the only thing that I won from the Fairy Loot still, so I'm very, very happy with that. I'm just very, very happy to win an ARC, full stop. So this must actually be the last book that I bought at YALC, and that's The Modern Fairy Tales by Holly Black, and this is one that I've definitely had my eye on since I started reading Holly Black books. When I read The Cruel Prince and stuff like that, I saw mentions of this for some reason, but they were out of print. So this is, of course, The Modern Fairy Tales is 3 books, and this has recently been reprinted into one large book. And this is usually £9.99, so £10, and it was £5 off the stall. And they actually sold out of this book on the Friday. They had a massive box full of them, and I looked and I went, oh my god, are you going to have more of those? Because I don't have the space to take it home today. And they went, oh yeah, we'll have plenty. And then Saturday I went back and they weren't on the stall, so I assumed they got on Sunday. I went and asked, and they did have one just kind of hidden behind a chair at some point. So I got the last one, and I'm very, very happy to have my hands on this. The very last book that I received on Sunday at YALC throughout the entire event was one that I've been trying to win for the entire weekend, and that is A Throne of Swans by Catherine and Elizabeth Corr. I read The Witch's Kiss by Catherine and Elizabeth Corr. I met them and got the book signed. The Witch's Kiss was maybe a bit younger than I would tend to read, sort of aim towards, but this was definitely, like, spoke to me. Like, I quite enjoy The Swan Princess and stuff like that. I remember those. So if this is a retelling of those kind of things, I'm quite excited to have my hands on this. So I think that's a total of 22 books that I got at YALC this year, some of which were purchased, mostly purchased at a discounted price. Quite a lot of ARCs I won, which was really, really lovely. This is kind of the only opportunity for people in the UK to win or get ARCs if they're not bloggers or booktubers or anything like that. And of course my channel I'm kind of rebooting at the moment, so there's no reason that I would be getting ARCs outside of this event, and I just love the opportunity to do so. Thank you so much for watching my YALC haul video. Hopefully I'll be posting a couple more videos soon of kind of reviews of the books that I've read recently, of tips if you're going to go to YALC for the first time next year, and of course a review of what I thought of YALC as an event and how it was run this year, because as I say, it was run very, very differently from last year, I think, but I do think it improved quite a bit. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!